Welcome to YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula Joy MacNab, and you caught me talking to my guest already. Welcome. I have the honor of introducing a very interesting man, retired Navy, Carl Stewart, and he's got an amazing story for us. He's working with a program called Honor Flight. And when I first heard this, I thought, what indeed is Honor Flight? Well, Carl's here to tell us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you for joining us. They caught me talking to you. Tell us what Honor Flight is.
Well, that's a good question, and something that I discovered upon my retirement from the Navy in 2012. I had 4 World War II veterans in my audience, and after the program, someone had mentioned the fact that there's this Honor Flight program we can honor veterans, primarily from World War II, by taking them back to Washington, D.C. to see their memorials dedicated to them for free. And I thought, well, what a terrific program. And I kept looking around the Bay Area to find one. I could not find a program. So I actually nominated one of my family friends, a World War II veteran in the Navy, out in the South Pacific, and he was selected to go on one of these flights.
Wow.
And it was out of Bakersfield, where I had grown up. And so I was contacted, congratulated that my veteran had been selected, and that I would be going with him as his guardian escort.
Oh, unbeknownst to you at the time,
that's
correct?
I continued to learn about the program that all the veterans have a guardian escort to keep them safe because of their senior years and status. That primary mission is to keep them safe,
Right.
but have a good time on the trip.
So how long? Wow, I just think this is amazing. What an honor. I mean, literally, the name speaks it, and what a way to honor, those men. Are there any women actually?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. Got to have those women in there.
And we love having our female veterans when we can recruit them and have them travel with us.
Oh, that's great.
Of course, we don't have as many as we do of the men, but
Right.
we have women veterans too, and
Right.
we love to take them with us.
And how many flights a year do you do, and how many people go? Tell us more about the logistics of this, because I think this is fascinating.
Good questions. The national program was actually started in 2005 after the World War II Memorial was completed, its construction in 2004.
Right.
So the program is not that old, really. So as the program was formalized, it kind of snowballed across the country, and we have about 130 hubs nationwide. And we've had about 6 or 7 here in the state of California, several of which have closed down, either because they just kind of ran out of gas or ran out of veterans.
Yes.
But having the Bay Area now, which covers the greater Bay Area, San Francisco and Monterey Bay, we can pull veterans just about from anywhere in Northern California. Our program started in 2014. We had our first flight in September. We took 25 veterans, 25 guardian escorts,
Oh, my.
a couple staffers to keep everything organized, and we had a ball. It's a 3-day trip. We fly out of San Francisco nonstop on Virgin America, who treats us very well. They help with the cost on the cost of the flight, the seats.
Wow.
And their staff is just incredible as they embrace all of our veterans. And we treat our veterans like rock stars,
Well,
which we think they are.
As they are.
They are living history. The stories are phenomenal. We have Battle of the Bulge, you've got D-Day, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Pearl Harbor. Living history.
Oh, my goodness.
Living history.
Can you share a couple of stories of what you've heard or seen or experienced from some of these
Well,
these
here
people?
locally, we seem to have a number of pilots that were Army Air Corps pilots of B-17, B-24s. And without mentioning names, one of my favorite pilots would always comment to me that he flew 23 and 1/2 missions. So he was obviously shot down on that 24th mission. So his experience was that he also was a POW in Germany. And he shares his stories today. He's still very active, and we love talking because his stories are phenomenal. We have another B-17 pilot, also local in the Carmel area, that he too was shot down over Germany. And he still has his bomber jacket, his leather bomber jacket that kept him warm when he was a POW, and he wears it to some of our functions that we have. So just a tremendous Marines, Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine. We've taken all the various services with us.
You know, Carl, one of the things that strikes me about this, my dad was a Merchant Marine, and I will tell you, and I know this will be no surprise, so often these young men go away to war and they are so traumatized and see such horrific things that they shut down and they won't talk about it. And I'm sure you see that. And what a great thing that your organization allows a space, this must be my topic today, is us having a voice, for these men and women to be heard.
Yes, it's true.
What does that mean to them? What have they said to you?
Well, you know, this generation that saved the world from tyranny and preserved, you know, freedom that we enjoy today, are very humble. They had survived the Depression, and then they're thrown into a catastrophic world conflagration and survived and saved the world for us. And the typical response is that I was just doing my job. But very little conversation typically. I think it's very much what we've experienced with the generation. And what's fun, I think, and somewhat cathartic, is when we put these veterans together. Now they're in their element and they begin to share these stories.
Yes.
And the family members who typically accompany them as their guardian escort, they get to hear these stories. So the experience, not only for the veteran, is tremendous, it's also for the guardian escort, whether it be a family member, a friend, or one of our many volunteers that accompany the veterans. So it's a very, very special 3-day trip.
Well, it's a life-changing 3-day trip, because I know that when, you know, when someone has gone to war, it impacts everyone who knows them. And what a powerful thing for the family members and the friends to hear, and probably, I suspect, hear things they may have never heard before, that can shift their attitude about why this man or woman has been the way he's been. Well, maybe he's been cranky. Well, you know, he probably has some good reasons to be cranky, you know, throughout life. And I think it's probably really shed some light that it would be great if it could be done so much earlier, and thank goodness you're doing it at this age and stage. How do you select? Do you have people who want to come and can't? How do you deal with that?
Question. Well, first we have to get the word out, and this program helps us do that.
And I'm happy to be doing it.
We do a lot of presentations and luncheons for, say, Rotary, Kiwanis, VFW, American Legion, SIRS, whatever groups that we can get an audience, get the word out that we're here. We then have applications for the veteran, for guardian escort, or maybe just a volunteer who wants to come out to the airport and be our cheerleader, either on our departure or on homecoming, which are also very special occasions.
That's great.
So we try to get the word out. We have a medical staff of volunteers, and we have a screening process. First, we have to document the fact that they are a veteran. We have something called the DD-214, which is a government record that has all of the history of that particular individual's military service. So we have that as a reference. We also want to make sure that they can travel.
Yes.
So that means that their doctor has to buy in, and also...
Because these guys have got to be...
Well, they're all over 90 now.
Over 90.
They're all over 90 now.
Wow.
So safety is a huge concern, and we always take medical staff with us. We have a certain amount of depth also within our guardian escorts. We like to have EMTs, first responders. Typically, they know first aid if needed.
Yes.
So hopefully we can manage any type of medical situation that arises.
Over 90. Wow. So go back to how many people, do you get more people than you can take? How do you deal with that?
We have a waiting list of over 100 veterans right now.
Oh my goodness.
We're running out of the World War II veterans though, so we're shifting into the Korean War, which there wasn't that much time difference between World War II and Korea, of course.
That's right.
So we're talking about veterans that are in their 80s or 90s. Now, we've had the oldest, I think, was 100. And on our last trip, we had a Navy pharmacist mate fly with us. And she turned 97 on our flight.
Oh, just a little spring chicken.
We had the entire aircraft sing her happy birthday, and we got her up into the cockpit.
Oh, I bet she was thrilled to
And
bits.
she had a ball. She was queen for a day and just really got special treatment for 3 days, which is our trip length. It's
Right.
a 3-day trip.
Right.
So we typically take 25 veterans, 25 guardian escorts, and then we'll have 3 staff members, one of which is what we call a flight nurse or flight doctor, and then the trip leader, and then the assistant trip leader. So 3 staffers, and then 50 travelers make up 53.
Right. And do
That's
you
our
go
travel
on?
size.
You go on each of these if you can, I assume.
We try to mix it up on our board of directors, so
Okay.
we don't burn out our volunteers or our board members.
Good point.
So if we fly 5 trips a year, I try to take 2 and then share
Right.
that.
Okay.
So typically 2 a year for
Right.
myself, and if we can fund 5 trips, so we like to do 5 trips a year.
And you've got one coming up in September.
We have 2 remaining flights this year, one in September, one in October.
Okay, excellent. And I want to come back to that about, but I've got a burning question. How is this funded?
Good question.
Who pays for this?
Well, it's all donations. It's all donations. So we have approached some companies, foundations. We do look for grants if they're available, but typically it's a check here or there from people that are concerned and want to honor our veterans. So it's all about donations, really.
Yeah.
No government funding.
No government funding.
No.
Wow. Do you get a good response from corporations that you speak with?
Some have been very, very good to us, but there's so many, and there's so many fine nonprofit charitables out there, so you have to kind of get in line with some of the companies.
Oh, that's really true. And we live in a very philanthropic community. I mean,
do.
this is one of the things that I find in doing this programming is there are so many causes that we in this community, and I think I would like to think every community is philanthropically minded, but I think we're kind of special
True.
because we care so much, and there's almost an, I'm going to use the word overabundance, because our dollars get spread too thin. And you know, it's like where do people put their dollars?
It is a challenge. You know, how do you prioritize? Because there's so many worthy nonprofits out there doing wonderful work.
Right. So you mentioned something very interesting and intriguing to me, is the departure and the arrival back. If people wanted to be involved just to go out and support you,
Yes.
tell us about that. What would
Probably
that look
the easiest way to access information and applications is our website.
like? Okay, and
and it's-
tell us what that is.
It's very simple. It's honorflightbayarea.org. And there you can actually see the applications. We post about 1,000 pictures for each trip. So you can actually pull up a trip under tours, and you can look at all the photographs that are taken from the point that we depart from San Francisco. We fly into Reagan National, right downtown, because time is of the essence, so we
Oh,
want to
of
get right
course.
into D.C. And we stay at the Hilton Crystal, which is very close to us. And we have 1 bus load. We pick up 2 more volunteers, gives us a total group size of 55, and that's what a bus can hold.
Right.
We take wheelchairs for all of our veterans, whether they need them or not, because they might get tired. We get some pushback from some of the veterans
Oh,
saying
of course you
they
do.
don't need a stinking wheelchair.
That's right.
Pretty proud. But after about a day and a half, some of the guys relinquish and actually sit in the wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have those for them too. We do pick up a tour guide and a photographer when we arrive. Those are the 2 additional volunteers that are local to Washington, D.C.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So I know there's got to be one little tidbit story of someone that really touched you, because you do this. You spend a lot of time and effort doing
But
this,
there
Carl.
are so many just wonderful stories. I remember on one of our flights home, it's a regular route for Senator Feinstein. So Senator Feinstein is at the loading gate waiting for the flight, as we are. And of course, all the veterans, they want to go grip and grin.
Grip and grin with
See the
Di.
senator. Well, as it turns out, one of the veterans was a classmate of hers at Stanford.
Oh.
And so we got a really nice photograph of the veteran and Senator Feinstein there in Washington, D.C. And then we all flew home together on the same aircraft. So that was kind of special.
That's really special. So with Virgin, so you've got 25 approximate people on this flight, and
53.
Or excuse me, you've got 53.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of the plane is just
regular passengers.
So did they have a chance to interact? Do the passengers know what you're doing? Have a chance to interact?
Yes. Oh, we're announced. Oh, the captain announces on takeoff that we've got 25 very special passengers on board.
Yes.
And that normally brings a big round of applause from all the passengers, and a very interesting interchange on the flight back to Washington.
Oh,
so, yes, definitely.
I would think it would, and what a wonderful way to expose what you're doing and to spark interest in it. And you know, going forward, as you say, these ladies and gentlemen are getting older, and you're moving forward. Do you see in future that this will be continued for our veterans for, unfortunately, more current conflicts?
Yeah, that is true. Yes, we see ourselves progressing through the various conflicts: World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, and then our most recent Iraq and Afghanistan situations. But we're basically open to all veterans. It doesn't have to be a wartime period. We feel that if the veteran has signed the bottom line that they're going to serve their country, that's a blank check for their lives to our country. And we want to respect all of our veterans.
Wow, what a powerful thing you just said, Carl. What a powerful thing you just said. I think that's so important for all the veterans to know how much they're honored.
Yeah, true.
And you know, the name of it, Honor Flight. What a beautiful thing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I personally am going to go on your website and take a look, and you may see my smiling. I would love to.
Put an application in it and fly with us.
I would love to.
We'd love to have you.
That would be a huge honor.
It
that
is.
would be
it really is. I'm getting excited. We have our orientation meeting coming up this Sunday, and we'll have all of our veterans come together with the Guardian escorts, and we'll pass out their clothes because we have special shirts that they wear.
Yep.
There's so many groups in
hold
Washington.
The hat up?
We make sure that they have one of the veteran ball caps to help distinguish them, whether it be World War II, Korea, or one of the newer conflicts.
Well, hopefully, Carl, and I hate to cut you off, I hope there won't be any more conflicts, but there probably will. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the time.
I am honored to know you, and thank you. Thank you for watching YourTown television program. I'm your host, Paula MacNab.